It's mid-morning when we get to Barmouth Bike Rental. My dad's unfathomably strong coffee coursing through our veins. A quick chat with the bloke at the bike shop, and we're off. Zooming over the bridge and off down the Maldoch estuary. It's a route I've taken many times before. My parents considerably more. Same as me, my mum's been coming here her entire life. Sweeping sands stretch out into the bay. As we race past. Late morning low tide, cradling seabirds in its clutches. Hilltops looming above. We're headed for a pub lunch and a nice pint at the George III. Of course, the rain starts coming in. It wouldn't be Wales without it. Today, bike rides and cars are the norm. But before the 19th century, when a great bridge was built over the estuary, luring Victorian holidaymakers in, very few people lived here. And back then, it was the seaways that they took to get around. And little did I know, until recently, there's a much older history to this area too. Ancient citadels of the Celts, still standing watch over the waters here, as they have for close to 3,000 years. During those ancient days, anyone coming in via boat would have been seen immediately, long before they were aware of their watchers. But of course, it wouldn't be long before those on the boats would see the citadels too. They are near everywhere you look, after all. To see and be seen is how these great fortresses are often described by archaeologists. Beacons for those coming from afar. To trade and to parley with the lords of the land. Yet, for the most part, we know not the stories of those people, or much of their way of life. The Romans saw an end to all that. And though we don't know their names, thanks to archaeology, we can tell a little of the lives they led. High up above the estuary, the Cregennan Lakes sprawl. One of the great natural wonders of Snowdonia. The ancients clearly thought so too. It's a landscape coated in cairns, standing stones, and settlements. And on one side of the lakes, atop a craggy mountain peak, a great fortress once stood. Its crumbled walls still visible to passers-by. I've been climbing the place since childhood. As far as I'm concerned, it's one of the greatest views in the world. This is Pared Y Cefn Hir, also known as Bryn Brith. let's get to the top. You wouldn't necessarily know it if you hadn't been told. But this place, not to mention being immensely beautiful, seems to have been of particular importance for the ancients too. Standing stones and cairns still litter the landscape, and likely many more existed in the past too. The views are magnificent. Cadair, the holy mountain, looms to the east. And to the northwest, you can see all the way down to Barmouth Bridge and the Irish Sea beyond. Barmouth is the site of another hill fort and a number of stone circles and cairns on the high ground above. Few places in Britain have changed as little as this landscape over the millennia. Carved out by the colossal weight of glacial ice, over thousands of years, geological eons ago. The icy clear lakes of this region, leftovers from the height of the last ice age, stand as a testament to the ephemeral existence of people in this part of the world. And from the top of one of these jagged peaks, the view is even better. It's a place of fond memories for me, of climbing with my granny many years ago. We knew the place as Bryn Brith, roughly translated as Speckled Hill. Little did I know, ancient houses cover the far side of the hill. And on the top, stretching for over half a mile, is an ancient fort. Known in Welsh as Pared Y Cefn Hir, the Wall of the Long Ridge. It's pretty easy going to begin with, and a beautiful day when we reach the top. It must have been a difficult life for those who lived up here though. In my experience, it's usually raining, even in August. The temperature up here doesn't get high, and yet people lived here anyway. Was it a religious site, way up on this high rocky ridge above the already high up twin lakes of Cregennan? It seems pretty spiritual to me. Down over on the other side, immense views of the Mouthach estuary open up. Other hill forts all along the high ground. Hearth fires once visible from one to the next. It's an evocative image. Yes, there seems to have been a lot going on here some 2,500 years ago. Swarms of flies cover the place when we sprint over. It's worse than Scotland. That can't have been fun for the ancients either.
We're going
But
all the way
maybe
across.
it's just our modern ways that can't deal with it. It's a very well-hidden location up here. and at first it seems like there's very little left of a fort to speak of. Only then do I realise that I'm already inside. I walk all the way through to the entrance before realising what it is. A large wall soon opening up. Once upon a time, no doubt covered in stakes and defences. And then I see the most famous feature of the site. It's unmistakable. A gated entranceway. Today, tumbled stones sprawl over the ridgeline for some 8 metres. The only hint to the stronghold which once stood here. The rest of the defences, it seems, were mostly natural, and I can see why. The other side of the fort was sealed off by the sheer height of the stone. Impassable sheer cliffs line the other sides. You wouldn't want to be an attacker climbing up here with projectiles, and who knows what else rained down on you from above. Wandering back into the lair of the midges, the inside of the fort is an eerie place. Its builders utilised a natural hollow in the rock. The high walls produce an echo when voices are raised, giving the whole site a quiet and intimate setting within this strange gully. Very much juxtaposed with the extremely exposed hilltop and commanding position as it first seems. With wind howling all around, I imagine the acoustics might produce some strange noises. It doesn't strike me as the best location for a functional farming settlement. Difficult to access at the best of times. In the winter, it would be lashed by snow, hail, and frosted ground. Of course, like many forts in this region, it's never been excavated. So we're left to our imagination. Perhaps it was used for occasional seasonal meetings or ceremonial functions rather than year-round domestic purposes. In terms of actual remains, it's not the best example at all. Very little is left. But in terms of ambiance and setting, it's one of the best I've ever been to. It's majestic. To the east, the ground steeply drops away, revealing lower hills like Pared Y Cefn Hir. Further eastwards, along the ridge and down the hill, is a hut circle and cairns on the hill slopes. The Arthog stones. This was a sacred place for sure. The sheer beauty of it on a day like today. How many more thousands of years will this place stand here? And what will the settlements around it look like by then?